Dodge thought he'd be safe once he got on the subway. But as soon as he stepped onto the escalator, he saw the hunter. The hunter spotted him too, pulled out his weapon, and headed straight for him. Dodge pushed through the crowd toward the train car. He managed to slip inside just before the doors closed. A flying knife nearly hit him. The hunter stood there waving. The subway slowly pulled away, and Dodge finally caught his breath. The passengers stared in shock. It was almost 1 hour. His location would soon be revealed. Dodge came up with a plan. He went to a baseball stadium. While the shop owner wasn't looking, he stole a team cap and some gear. With 15 seconds left on the timer, he put on the disguise. Just then, the game ended. Crowds of fans poured out of the stadium. He blended into the crowd. The hunter arrived using GPS tracking. The scene stunned him. A sea of fans wearing the same outfit walked toward him. He stepped into the crowd, scanning around. Dodge kept his head down, trying to hide his face. The hunter shouted Dodge's name, certain he was among them. He turned around and saw a familiar face. Dodge quickly looked away. The hunter rushed through the crowd toward the man, touched his shoulder, but it was the wrong person. Frustrated, the hunter turned away angrily. But before he could relax, he sensed a new danger. Felt like someone was following him. He darted across the street and entered a shopping mall. Believing the hunters wouldn't make a move in public, he saw an elevator just opening, seized the chance and rushed in. But as the doors were closing, a hand blocked them. He hoped to hide on a random floor, but clearly that was not happening. He had a gut feeling the man was also a hunter. For protection, Dodge quietly grabbed a pen from a nearby girl. The elevator arrived. The man followed the girl out. Dodge let out a sigh of relief. He went up a few more floors, thinking he was finally safe. But as soon as he stepped out of the elevator, he looked back. It was that same man. He calmly lifted his arm, revealing the hidden blade. It confirmed he was a hunter. Dodge ran as fast as he could, but ended up at a dead end. He pushed into a restroom, picked a stall at random, and hid inside. Soon he heard the hunter's footsteps outside. Kneeling down to peek, the hunter didn't see anything through the gap. Turns out Dodge was crouched on top of the toilet. The hunter wasn't in a hurry. He took off his jacket, revealed a concealed weapon, and set the jacket aside, clearly planning to stay a while. The hunter slowly approached the man with a knife. Just then, a police officer's voice rang out. He looked up and, seeing it was the police, put the knife away. He explained to the officer that it was just a joke, but the officer noticed the blood on Dodge's forehead. The hunter gave Dodge a threatening look. Dodge told the officer he was fine. The officer reminded him to stay safe next time. While the officer was still there, Dodge slowly began to move away. As he got closer to the hunter grabbed his hand tightly. Dodge carefully broke free. He followed the officer's steps to distance himself from the killer. After one last glance back, he quickly left. Meanwhile, another $1 million was added to his wife's account. In this city, every hour you survive earns you $1 million. As a participant in the game, you can't reveal anything to anyone, otherwise the game ends. He grabbed a stranger's bicycle and kept going. Suddenly, hunter number 2 charged out of an alley and tackled him. He punched Dodge hard, twice. Dodge fought back. Then the hunter pulled a knife from behind and stabbed at him with full force. Dodge barely dodged it. The hunter's foot got caught in the bike wheel, giving Dodge a chance to escape. He threw a knife forward with force, embedding it into a nearby wall. But the hunter suddenly appeared behind them. To protect his wife, Dodge decided to lead the hunter away. During the chase, his wife risked everything and pushed a crate that saved his life. The hunter turned his aim at her, but didn't shoot. He was only interested in the game. Dodge kept hiding, eventually reaching a dead end on the rooftop. The hunter almost forgot the rules. He put away his gun and pulled out a throwing weapon. He wanted a fair fight. Dodge dodged desperately, almost falling from the 30th floor. The hunter didn't stop. Only when the prey dies does he win. He raised his weapon for the final strike, then a blinding ray of sunlight hit. The game was over. The hunter put away his weapon. He reached out to save Dodge. Too exhausted to resist, Dodge had no choice but to trust him. The hunter didn't betray him. He was satisfied with the hunt and congratulated Dodge. According to the rules, Dodge had won. The hunter turned away singing. A phone rang in his pocket. It was the man again. He kept his promise and delivered the $200 million. Dodge threw the phone away. He didn't know whether to feel angry or relieved. An assistant handed him a folder. Inside was the profile of the next prey. The two headed for the next city to start a new round of the game. The hunter kicked open the door. It was time to eliminate the prey and collect half the reward. The rules said only melee weapons were allowed. He pulled out his favorite weapon. Just as he was about to strike, he got shot from behind. One dying gang member had saved Dodge's life. Dodge survived, but questions filled his mind. He went to a hospital to test the medicine. It was just anti-inflammatory drugs. He tried to find his cancer doctor, but that name didn't exist in the hospital system. Then he realized the truth. He had been tricked. A phone rang at the livestream HQ. Dodge angrily confronted the man on the other end. The man was blunt. The cancer doctor was fake, and the diagnosis was part of the setup. It was all meant to trap him, so that he'd join the deadly game for his family's future. Now that he knew the truth, and only 1 hour remained, why not finish the game and win the $200 million? Dodge didn't care anymore. He just wanted out. The man grew frustrated. The game had lasted for decades. He wouldn't allow an exception now, so he ordered Dodge's wife to be kidnapped. As long as Dodge kept playing, no one would be hurt. Dodge went through many hardships, and finally found the building where she was held. He quickly untied her. They tried to run. Dodge boarded a sightseeing boat. To his surprise, another hunter was hiding on board. After a long struggle, he defeated the opponent with a kick on the bridge. But Dodge's bad luck wasn't over. He was kidnapped by the local gang. The gang was puzzled. He only had 2 things on him: a bottle of medicine and a phone. Inside the phone was a bank account with $80 million. That was a serious fortune. The gang became interested. They wanted to learn how he made that kind of money. Dodge told them to let him go. Otherwise, something big would happen in 5 minutes. But the gang didn't care. They wanted to know what kind of business he was in. How could it be so profitable? Dodge didn't understand what they meant. A gang member pulled out the medicine. To find out what it was, he even tasted it. It turned out to be regular anti-inflammatory pills. Dodge was shocked too. That was supposed to be his cancer medication. With no way to learn how to get rich, the gang members got angry and started threatening him. Just then, it was time for their location to be exposed. Someone knocked on the door. As the gang member opened it, bullets flew through from outside. Under the heavy firepower of Hunter number 3, the gang was wiped out. Dodge found a stadium where a game was happening and started calculating when he would be exposed next. It turned out to match perfectly with the end of the game. He randomly grabbed a fan's identical outfit and walked to the stadium entrance. Then he pulled out his phone and waited for the countdown. The hunter, watching the map, rushed to the scene as fast as he could. As soon as he got out of the car, he sprinted toward his target. The buzzer signaling the end of the game sounded. Dodge quickly changed into the team uniform, and as the gates opened, a massive crowd of fans poured out of the stadium. All the fans were wearing the same outfit. Dodge blended into the crowd. By the time the hunter arrived, it was too late. With the fans all around, he couldn't even see Dodge's face. As the crowd dispersed and people went home, Dodge took the chance and slipped into a stranger's trunk. He once again escaped the chase, but there was a problem with the live broadcast. A middle-aged man realized something was wrong because the car was about to cross the city boundary. Hearing the family's conversation, Dodge started to panic. If he left the game zone, the hunters would have unlimited time to search for him. Dodge banged on the trunk with all his strength. The family heard the noise and got out to check. Luckily, he managed to keep his place in the game. He had narrowly avoided being disqualified. He ran straight to the elevator and slammed the emergency stop button. Dodge took the chance to escape. The hunter chased him again. Just as Dodge was about to exit the mall, there was another hunter at the door. He had to switch routes on the fly. But in the rush, he tripped and tumbled down the stairs. He staggered to his feet, only to find the hunter blocking the exit. He turned to flee, but all the doors in the alley were locked. It seemed like the game was really over. Then a voice came from behind. A patrolling police officer had seen someone fall in. He came over to ask if Dodge needed help. Dodge wanted nothing more than to ask for help, but if he broke the rules, the game would be extended indefinitely until the day the prey died. So he used the officer's presence as a cover to escape again. He saw a bicycle nearby, and without caring about anyone else, he jumped on and rode off. Then he slipped into a subway station, trying to stay in public spaces as much as possible. But to his surprise, the hunter had already found him there too. Dodge jumped into the subway at the very last second before the doors closed. The hunter threw a knife with full force, and it nearly pierced through the glass door. As the train pulled away, he even waved goodbye. Dodge turned around and looked at the passengers on the train. Everyone looked completely shocked. The third hunter, whose prey was just stolen, was furious. He had almost succeeded, but the first hunter wasn't worried at all. If he hadn't paid for the job, then even if the third hunter caught the target, he wouldn't get a single cent. The third hunter had no choice but to swallow his anger and apologize. The hunter made his move. He kicked open the bathroom door. One by one, he checked every stall. When the last door flew open, Dodge was exposed right in front of him. The hunter's eyes were full of disappointment. He immediately called the organizers, strongly expressing his dissatisfaction. He had flown halfway across the world for this hunt, and now the game was about to end in less than an hour. The hunter demanded a refund on the spot. The white-haired man apologized, saying he didn't expect the prey to be such a poor match. He quickly promised to make it up to him in the next round. The hunter hung up the phone, ready to end this boring game. But Dodge slammed the door shut from behind. and escaped while the hunter was caught off guard. The hunter was furious, but suddenly felt a rush of excitement. Dodge ran downstairs. His phone buzzed twice. The bank deposit had arrived, which also meant his location would be revealed for 15 seconds. The hunter charged toward the signal. Dodge could only watch the timer while scanning his surroundings. Out of nowhere, someone grabbed him from behind. Since they were in a public place, hunter number 2 restrained him, planning to finish the job somewhere quiet. The first hunter rushed down the stairs, saw his prey being taken, and instantly lost his temper. But clearly that was not happening. He had a gut feeling the man was also a hunter. For protection, Dodge quietly grabbed a pen from a nearby girl. The elevator arrived. The man followed the girl out. Dodge let out a sigh of relief. He went up a few more floors, thinking he was finally safe. But as soon as he stepped out of the elevator, he looked back. It was that same man. He calmly lifted his arm, revealing a hidden blade. It confirmed he was a hunter. Dodge ran as fast as he could, but ended up at a dead end. He pushed into a restroom, picked a stall at random, and hid inside. Soon he heard the hunter's footsteps outside. Kneeling down to peek, the hunter didn't see anything through the gap. Turns out Dodge was crouched on top of the toilet. The hunter wasn't in a hurry. He took off his jacket, revealed a concealed weapon, and set the jacket aside, clearly planning to stay a while. Every hour, Dodge's bank balance increases by $500,000, and the amount doubles with time until after 24 hours, it becomes $200 million. But there's one condition. First, the white-haired man ordered him to hand over everything on him, then made him stand up. After a very thorough body search, he was allowed to sit back down and was handed a phone. Dodge could use it to check his bank account balance. As the second hand hit 0, the white-haired man announced the game had begun and advised Dodge to head somewhere crowded. That way his chances of surviving would greatly increase. There were 5 hunters hidden in the bar. They could be in any profession. The prey had 3 minutes to run and only needed to remember one thing: survive for 24 hours and the $200 million is his. Dodge jumped up and sprinted out of the bar. The game rules were simple. No leaving the city limits and no asking the police for help. He got on a bus trying to stay out of the hunter's sight. Suddenly someone rushed toward the door. Dodge begged the driver to start the bus, but the bus had a fixed departure schedule. The man who boarded walked straight up to Dodge, asking for a seat. Left with no choice, Dodge gave it up. But something felt off. Until the man reached toward Dodge's briefcase, Dodge jumped away from the seat, ran to the driver, and shouted for an emergency stop. After getting off the bus, he ran again.